Rockstar Forum, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Terry L, and I'm back at y'all with another one. We have a fight on our hands that is approaching May 8th in the United States. I don't know where you're going to be, but you need to be somewhere parked, either in front of a TV screen, a screen, somewhere where the fight's being shown. You don't want to miss this one. I'm talking about none other than the fight between Canelo Alvarez and Billy Joe Saunders. As you know, Boxstar headquarters, we're based in London, so I'll be watching the fight live on DAZN. I can't wait. Before we get started in this discussion, I want to say today's video has been sponsored by, or Boxstar is actually sponsored by REKA, R-E-K-A, Property Management, based in London, building property homes and HMOs in London and around the London metropolitan area. Also sponsored by BoxFit UK, the leaders in boxing sporting goods in the United Kingdom. And also in association with Next Phase Fitness, where fitness lives and the home of functional training. Let's get into our discussion. So the fight to May 8th is between Billy Joe Saunders, obviously, as I said, who is seen as the B-side against the boxing superstar, the A-side, Canelo Alvarez. Now, as a unification fight at 168, it's a weight class that suits both fighters, but probably suits Billy Joe Saunders a little bit more, and I'll get to that a little later. So let's examine both fighters. Let's talk about the superstar, first of all, Canelo Alvarez. As we know, Canelo Alvarez's record is 55-1 with 2 draws. It's very impressive. The only defeat came at the hands of another superstar, Floyd Money Mayweather. And there's no shame in losing to Floyd Mayweather because obviously he'll go down easily as the greatest fighter of our generation and first-time Hall of Famer inductee, in my opinion. Since the Floyd Mayweather loss, Canelo Alvarez has gotten better in every department. His body shots, he's known as a severe, brutal knockout artist, as well as pounding people's bodies. So his ring IQ is become impeccable. Footwork, he's not really known for his footwork or his lateral movement. He's mostly known for his boxing ability because he can box, known for his ring IQ, and just basically cutting off the ring and walking his opponents down. He rolls off shots well. He can take a shot very well. And he obviously has clinical power in both hands, but especially his right hand. So overwhelmingly, the chips are stacked in the favor of Canelo Alvarez. He's someone that's overwhelmingly is seen as a favorite. And I agree, he probably should be the favorite because not only of his resume, who he's fought, the different weight classes, he's won titles at everything from 154 to 175 at light heavyweight. Although the fight against Kovalev at 175 was at a catch weight. But nonetheless, he fought a bigger man at his profound weight class. However, having said that, the only title he didn't win was at 147 where he started at, but he was a kid, and so he could be forgiven for that. And there were some good monsters at 147. It was a great stomping ground for him to start his career, and I think he's been managed beautifully up until this point. Well, he's still been managed beautifully. And he deserves to be a boxing superstar, box office draw, not just because of his name and his looks, but because the boy can actually fight. He can fight inside, he can fight outside, but he's mostly known for his inside clinical finishing. So Billy Joe Saunders will have to fight a near perfect fight in order to win May 8th. Do I think it's possible for Billy Joe Saunders to win? Of course I do, and I'm about to get into that right now. In my eyes, I'm not jumping the bandwagon that Canelo Alvarez will win tomorrow or May 8th. I don't jump on the bandwagon that because he's box office draw and he's boxing superstar that he should walk away with this and probably get a knockout. I'll be surprised if he knocks Billy Joe Saunders out. And I'll come back on air and I'll just hold my hand up and say, look, I got it wrong. If he gets knocked out, if Billy Joe Saunders gets knocked out, I'll say, look, guys, I was wrong. I'm not perfect, but I'll be surprised. And I'd be surprised purely because of the stock that Billy Joe Saunders come from. He's a what they call a traveler or gypsy, whatever they call themselves. But he comes from a different stock. He's a tough guy. He's a hard man. And these guys grew up fighting since they were pups. To me, he's an accomplished fighter. Footwork is impeccable for someone his size at super middleweight. Hand speed, really good hand speed. Lightning jab. Combinations, he throws combinations very well, punches and bunches. I like his combinations aren't predictable, so he doesn't throw the same combination every single fight you see him. He just throws combinations as and when he needs to, and based on the level of his opponent. So Triple G hasn't really fought someone, especially in the middleweight divisions, whether it's super middleweight or, well, the only middleweight he actually fought was against Triple G. Which, by the way, I think Triple G got robbed. I'm going to go on record of saying that, although I'm not a Triple G fan at all. But he definitely didn't lose both fights. But that's neither here nor there. We're not talking about Triple G right now. So in the middleweight division, I can't remember anyone that Canelo Alvarez has fought with the footwork of Billy Joe. Now, here's the criticism that people are going to levy against Billy Joe. They're going to say Billy Joe Saunders hasn't fought any credible opponents with any real serious, hard credibility or a real name, say this, so to speak, if you compare it to Canelo Alvarez. But I'm going to stop him right there. Okay, yes, true indeed, besides Chris Eubanks Jr., he doesn't have anyone on his resume that you can hoop and holler about or go right home and tell mom about. But I'm going to use someone as an example who's from the same stock as Billy Joe Saunders to prove my point. Tyson Fury. Before Tyson Fury fought Vladimir Klitschko, name a fighter on his resume that you would write home about and tell mom about. Yeah, that's what I thought. Nobody. Before Klitschko, I can't think of anyone that Tyson Fury fought that I would really say, yeah, Tyson Fury is a serious heavyweight. He even got dropped by Cunningham, who was actually, at the time, was a souped up middleweight. So if anything, he was taken for a little bit of a joke. Then he goes to Germany, fights Klitschko in front of 50,000 plus fans, beats him convincingly. Whether the fight was a bore or whatever the case may be, Klitschko didn't have a good round till round number 12, okay? So Fury did what he had to do. Okay, he went off the rails after he won the title, was going to fight the rematch. Then he went off the rails again. So we all know what happened. He had the mental issues, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Came back after having a few years layoff, fought some bum fights, some tune-up fights for him. Then he jump right back in the frying pan again and fights another animal, this time a bigger animal in Deontay Wilder. Fought him twice. Some would argue he got robbed in the first fight, but that fight was a draw. The second fight, you can argue, he beat Deontay Wilder convincingly. And he went into the man's backyard and fought. So Tyson Fury, outside of Deontay Wilder, outside of Vladimir Klitschko, and as I mentioned, he fought those guys in their backyards, and he beat both of them. Who would you say that Fury fought besides those two guys? You probably couldn't think of them. And if you throw a name or two out there, then rank them in the top 10 of the heavyweight division. You probably couldn't get them in the top 10. So the point I'm making is someone's resume doesn't mean that they are a garbage fighter, because at this stage, Billy Joe Saunders is a world champion, because this is a unification fight. So he has been fighting ranked fighters within the top 10 of, or the mandatory challenger within that division or within that particular body of that, whatever belt he holds. I think he holds a WBO belt. So to say that Billy Joe Saunders isn't fighting credible names is actually disrespect. He's been fighting credible names, but what Canelo Alvarez has done better, because his body structure allows him to do so, he can fluctuate up and down the weight classes. And he's been very clever. As I said before, he's been managed beautifully. He picks the right fights. He picks the right opponents, and he fights the right fights, and he fights these fighters at the right time. So having said that, if he was that much of an animal, he'd probably still be campaigning at 175. So I'm not taking anything away from Canelo Alvarez. He fought Kovalev at well, I think he weighed 170 on the night, or for the weigh-in, or 172. And Kovalev normally walks around for a fight at 175, and after the fight, he rehydrates. So with all this rehydration clause, all that kind of stuff, well, that's another thing that people don't look at. He's fighting Billy Joe at 168. He's fighting at 168. And as we know, there was some controversy just recently about the ring size. So Canelo Alvarez wants a smaller ring. A smaller ring suits a smaller guy. A bigger guy like Billy Joe, who moves the way he does, wants a bigger ring. They initially want a 24-foot ring. Then they're fighting now in a 22-foot ring. There was some discrepancy a few days ago that when Billy Joe's people looked at the ring, it looked like it was going to be an 18-foot ring or a 20-foot ring or some nonsense like that. And then Billy Joe threatened to call the fight off. This is all within the last 48 hours. So I credit Billy Joe's people, his backers, and the people on his team to look out for stuff like that. Because Canelo Alvarez, because he's the A-side, it's always been having things his own way. Now, having said that, that's why the fight is pretty much on an even keel. There is no excuses that can be made. Billy Joe can't say how I was fighting at a catch weight. He can't say I was fighting with some rehydration clause that made me weak. Not that I know of anyway. So the fight is a 50-50 fight in my opinion at 168. I do believe that Billy Joe can edge it. He has to fight a near perfect fight from round 1 to round 12. He can't give away too much and can't give away too much respect to Canelo Alvarez. If anything, the only round that I think he could probably lose or should lose, this is Billy Joe, is round number 1, because that's where it's the fill out process. And you want to, I think both fighters will pay each other a lot of respect in the first round. And maybe Canelo Alvarez might get the better of the two in the first round. But however, everyone knows that Canelo Alvarez sometimes can be a late starter, okay? He kind of warms up in the fight. So he sometimes gives away the first 2 or 3 rounds. Go back to when he fought Amir Khan at 154. Amir Khan easily won the first 2 rounds. But then when the hand speed kind of differed and Amir Khan's defense wasn't as tight as it should have been, and as you know, he's quite chinny, Amir Khan, by the third round, end of the second round, by the third round, he'd figured Amir Khan out. Billy Joe ain't like that, because Billy Joe has good defense, good footwork, good lateral movement. He has all the right assets, just enough to put Canelo Alvarez off balance for a lot of parts in this fight. I can't wait for it. I just hope Billy Joe Saunders has a really good account of himself. And I just hope Billy Joe Saunders can really make sure that he does the business inside the ring, keep his mind focused, don't show him too much respect. If not, don't show him any respect at all. And just continue to believe the things that he's been saying outside the ring, that he can handle the pressure and handle this guy, because he's been calling for this fight for a long, long time. So that's my take on it. And I hope that Billy Joe really steps up to the mic, and I hope Billy Joe proves that he is worthy at 168. Both men have been suspended for drugs and cheating and all this sort of stuff. And Billy Joe's probably more down to the fact that he's been living a good life outside the ring, you know, dope and whatever else. I don't know too much about his personal life, but the Clan Bruderol situation with Canelo Alvarez when he got suspended is a little bit more suspect to me. Nonetheless, both men have been done for doping. Let's put it out there. And both men have had suspensions, albeit very short suspensions. But they're here now. All that's in the past. It's all about May 8th. It's all about fighting for this unification fight. And my take, representing Boxstar, my money goes on Billy Joe Saunders. What's your take? What's your view? Are you going to go with the overriding majority and ride with Canelo Alvarez, or are you going to be one of those guys that are mavericks like me and stick their neck out there and look at fighting from a different perspective? And not that I'm always right, but I'm just saying that I'm looking at things from a little different angle, and my lens is a little bit less tainted by general opinion and popular demands. So that's what we do here at Boxstar. We're not afraid of opinions. Leave your opinion. Tell me who you think is going to win the fight. And Stay tuned for more videos coming up, and I can't wait for this fight May 8th. Until then, peace.